Welcome. I'm so glad that you all chose to take some intentional quiet time tonight. And yeah, just really blessed that you all decided to come. So I'm going to get us into our first pose. And the first thing to know is when you hear this sound, it's like a nice little bell noise. That means that I am offering the next pose. At no point do you have to move into the next pose, and in fact, in restorative yoga, it's really beneficial if you get there as slowly as possible. There's no prize for being the first person to get there, right? So when you hear that sound, that means I'm demonstrating the next pose, but I'll be demonstrating it for a little bit, so there's no rush. The first pose that we're going to take tonight is crocodile, which is belly to the earth. If you don't want to put your belly on the ground tonight, you're going to take a child's pose with the bolster. If you are comfortable belly to the ground, you're going to come all the way onto your stomach. Sometimes I like to put a pillow right under my hips. And placing your arms on top of each other, head can either face straight down, or you can look to one side, and I'll tell you partway through to switch. One of the important aspects of restorative is we want to get as comfortable as possible. So there's lots of extra things I recommend doing, like if you're in child's pose, rolling up a blanket and tucking it behind your knees. In child's pose or crocodile pose, it's nice to make a blanket roll that your feet can rest on. So your feet aren't just hanging in space. They're resting on that nice round little roll. So it's a little bit of a game here at the start of every pose of how can you make yourself as comfortable as possible. Would you prefer to put your head on a blanket on top of your arms? Is there a way you need to finagle your shirt or sweatshirt so it's comfortable against the floor or against that bolster if you want to take a restorative child's pose instead? So with your chest either on the bolster or against the floor, starting to notice your breathing. You have that great feedback of your chest against an object, whether that is the bolster or the floor. Really making you aware of how three-dimensional that breath is. Some of you have taken restorative yoga with me before, and for others, it's your first time. In a lot of restorative classes, the theory is to get you into the most comfortable, sumptuous pose possible, and then leave you in silence. And that is what works best for some people. Something that is unique about my classes is I like to share stories or breathing exercises or little poems during the poses so that I'm not just setting you up and then leaving you alone with your thoughts. If you would like to be in that silent repose, that's why I use the bell when I change poses. So you could really turn your volume quite down. And then when you hear the bell, click it up a couple notches just to get the directions. One of the ways that restorative yoga challenges us is it is a lot of time in each pose, about 5 to 10 minutes in each one. I think we're going to hit about 12 in one tonight, actually. But you're going to love it when you get there, I promise. And when we give our bodies time in these shapes, we really get into deeper levels of muscle and tissue and tendon and fascia than we can get to when we move through poses quickly. Your body really has time to settle into the shape, relax in that shape. You may find yourself kind of drifting into that space between waking and dreaming, and then it's time to move into the next pose. So that'll kind of keep you on that dreamy, lovely edge of consciousness that is so nourishing for our nervous systems. So it's normal if this class challenges you, if you find it hard to manifest that stillness. But I implore you to give it a chance and see how you feel after this hour and 15 minutes of stillness. Feeling the feedback between your chest and your belly and the ground or bolster. Notice if you can bring your breath a little bit lower in your belly. Maybe you even surprise yourself with how low you can take that breath. When we breathe into our bellies, it activates our brain's rest and digest response, which is the opposite of fight or flight. And holding a pose while in that complete state of rest and repose sends lots of good signals to the body that this is time it can digest and heal and produce the hormones that help us sleep. So throughout the poses tonight, when you feel your mind kind of wander off or want to visit your to-do list, coming back to that breath, coming into the belly, telling your body that this is its time to be in our rest and digest state, to recuperate from the parts of your life that are stressful. Go ahead and if you are facing one direction, go ahead and turn your head to the other side. And in between turning to the other side, I will invite, everything tonight is just an option, but in between turning to face the other side, rocking your face, your brow bone back and forth on either your arms or on that bolster if you're in child's pose, massaging the forehead and the eyebrows just by rocking the head side to side. Putting as much pressure as you like in that zone. A lot of connections to our vagus nerve live in the forehead. This is the nerve system that helps us go back and forth between our fight or flight and rest and digest state. Helps us transport ourselves into relaxing time. If you are loving that rocking motion in your head, you can keep doing it. If you're feeling done with that, just go ahead and turn your face to the other side. Noticing if there is a little bit of tension on this side of the neck, on your less habitual side. Maybe you would like to tuck a little bit of blanket around your head. Using the belly breath to send the message to those tissues in your neck that this is the time to unwind, to melt into relaxation. Maybe you imagine your neck growing longer, your shoulders falling away from your ears. The new moon is such a powerful time to take a little bit of extra relaxation or rejuvenation for yourself. It's a time when there's extra darkness in nature. A lot of humans report needing more sleep around this time. Restorative yoga practice is great for your sleep, great for sometimes when I'm done practicing, it almost feels like I've taken a nap. As my husband likes to call it, nap time in different poses when we do restorative. So hopefully this will give you some of that energy that you might be feeling a little bit depleted because of the extra darkness in the sky. Perfect time for turning inward. Navigating your internal landscape. If you hear some interesting sounds on my end tonight, there is a snowstorm in Portland. So I don't know if my microphone is picking it up, but there's some snow hitting my windows and my heater is a little bit loud. So just wait so you're aware of what those noises are. There we have our transition bell sound. So coming off of your props and rolling on to one side. Remembering there's no gold medal for being the first person to set up the next pose. We want to maintain that sort of dreamy, quiet space, even in our transitions. For this pose, you're going to use your chair or couch or bed. Please make sure your chair is either on your yoga mat so it's not going to slide around, or it's up against a wall. Would not want it to slip out from under you. I'm going to recommend taking one of your blankets or your pillow and putting it under your hips. That's one option if you don't feel like laying flat on your back tonight, is really stacking some height under the hips. You're also going to want either your pillow or a blanket roll for your head. Have your other blanket nearby. I'm sure you'll find a good use for it here. And bringing your legs up onto the chair. Tucking your blanket under your head. Thinking about how can I add more luxury to this, more comfort, because I'm going to hold this pose for a little while. One way I like to invite that in is by doing a roll under my neck so my head is more supported. My favorite thing to do with my arms in restorative yoga is to take my blanket or towel and lay it over top of me and then tuck the blanket into the space between my body and my arm so that that arm can't roll away from me. It's tucked up close to the body and it has nowhere to roll. So that can be a really nice sensation. If you're avoiding laying on your back tonight, you could use the chair instead as a prop for a forward fold. We don't want to come into the deepest forward fold of your life because you're going to be here for a little while. So something that your muscles can soften into. So feeling the energy in your body start to shift as we take on a pose and relax deeply in a shape that your body is not often in. Changing the network of blood flow and how all of our tissues are held. Before you settle in too deeply, ask yourself, is there something I could do to make myself 10% more comfortable? Do you want to tuck your pillow under your ankles? Do you want to cover your eyes with a pillow or with a sweatshirt? Making those adjustments at the beginning of the pose so that you can really recline in that stillness and not be thinking later on in the pose, oh, I need to put on my socks, or oh, I wish I rolled this head blanket a little bit differently. Trying to anticipate those needs early on so you can sink into your stillness. Our new moon tonight is in the sign of Aquarius. If you look at that star sign, one way to trace the outline of it is it looks like a person pouring a vase of water. And the significance attributed to that constellation by the Greeks is that Aquarius was a lover and cupbearer, kind of like an old-timey bartender to the god Zeus. And he was so beloved by Zeus that he was immortalized in the sky as the constellation Aquarius. And because the zodiac and stars are something that are so interesting to humans, even when some stories about queerness in ancient Greece were lost, the story of Aquarius never was. Stayed a queer icon and male lover to Zeus throughout time. Shining from the sky, reminding us that love in all forms is worthy. Beautiful queer love story for the ages. Another interpretation of this constellation comes to us from the Egyptians, who see it as, the ancient Egyptians saw it as a sign that the Nile River was going to flood soon. So when they saw this constellation of a person dumping water, they knew to be prepared for this cyclical thing that happened in their community. And while the idea of a river flooding may sound scary, it was a real boon for the people who lived in the Nile River Valley, because when the river would flood, it would cover their croplands with silt from the bottom of the river, which has all kinds of good fertilizer from all the fish and animals that live in the river. So it enabled them to build an amazing ancient civilization that they had this silt fertilizing their crops. So the flooding of the Nile every year was a very sacred thing. This is a time of year where even people who don't live near the Nile can think about fertilization, right? Where things are not quite growing yet, but we're starting to think about what we might want to plant or harvest this year, whether that's in a literal garden or more of a metaphorical one. Noticing what bits or pieces that people have made of our night sky. Noticing what parts resonate with you this evening. If there's anything you want to take with you from the Greeks or the Egyptians' interpretation of the constellation Aquarius. Nice deep breath into the belly, giving that feedback to the tissues of the legs and the hips, that this is a safe space to unwind. Imagining your hips grow heavy. They rest into the support of the earth. Aquarius is an air sign. Definitely feeling that air sign energy today with the wind blowing through Portland. Wind has a lot of beautiful attributes, but can also leave us feeling a little bit scattered or up in our heads too much. So thinking about dropping down into the body from the head, imagining you could pull your consciousness into your body, grounding it. What does that feel like when you drop into your body and out of your mind? And there we have the bell giving us the option to transition to another pose. If you are loving and really feeling the benefits of this one, you could stay here the rest of practice. And that would be perfectly fine. If you're ready to try something else and your legs are up on the chair, it's going to be a subtle transition this time. You're going to take your right ankle to the top of your left thigh, creating a figure 4 shape with your legs. If you are quite open in the hips, you may want to scoot your chair a little bit closer to you. The thing to remember is you're not going for the deepest hip stretch you can possibly stand. That's not where the benefit of restorative yoga is. The benefit is in taking a shape that is familiar and comfortable to your body and then holding that pose so you get to reap those benefits on a different level. Checking in with the left foot. Would it like a pillow or blanket tucked under it? Would it feel nice to drape a blanket over the top of your body, making sure to keep the legs and hips warm as they do this deep work? Do you want to tuck the blanket around and under your arms so they can't roll away from you? If you don't want to take this figure 4 shape on your back, a restorative pigeon pose might feel nice. So really propping yourself in a pigeon pose could be a nice alternative. Or staying in the wide-legged forward fold. One of the other beautiful, special things about this new moon is that it represents the Lunar New Year for a lot of cultures in Asia. So you may have heard it called Chinese New Year, but it's actually a lot bigger than that and encompasses a lot more groups and beliefs than that. So the second new moon of the whole year, or the second new moon since the winter solstice, represents the change in Asian culture's calendar. So for a lot of people in the world, it is officially 2021 now. A big breath of fresh air and a big starting over. If there's anything you can do in this pose to make your head and jaw more comfortable, I would definitely take that option, tucking a blanket kind of under or around. There's a big connection between the head and jaw specifically and the hips wanting to open up. Just interesting tidbit there, making sure your head and neck and jaw are so comfortable is going to lead to more benefit in the hips. And one of the most important aspects of Lunar New Year, of that fresh start, is being with the people that you love. Families make a really big effort to be together in that time, and that might look different this year. But I know that a lot of our connections to the people we love are still really strong and really present in new ways. And one way that we can connect and give love right now without touching people is a Buddhist meditation called the Metta meditation. So if you would like to follow me in this variety of meditation, I want you to call to mind a person that you love. First person that pops into your mind. Don't overthink it. Visualizing that person and that connection. And I will say a sentence, and then you can mentally repeat after me or say it out loud if you want. You're all on mute, so it won't matter. May you be happy. Picturing that person and thinking, imagining saying to them, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free of suffering. May your life be blessed with ease. Feeling that love and good wishes for that person fill you up and expand in your heart. And then bringing to mind another person that is easy for you to love. Who pops in your mind right quick? Someone that is easy for you to love and send this love to. And we'll go through that meditation once more. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free of suffering. May your life be blessed with ease. Feeling those good intentions. Noticing when you wish good things for others, where do you feel that in your body? Where does that show up in your body? Is it a chest emotion or a head emotion? The tip of your nose? Your belly? Where does that love and joy and connection live for you? Feeling those well wishes directed at those two people that you love. If your mind has started to kind of wander off or wander towards your to-do list, gently bringing it back into the body, noticing the sensation of the breath. Can you pull the breath lower into your belly? Being very conscious of the relaxing effect that that has on your body, the relaxing effect that that has on your hips. And there we have the bell sound giving us the option to move on. So as you may have guessed here, we're going to bring the right leg back up onto the chair. And then you're going to bring your left ankle to the top of your right thigh. If you're doing a different pigeon variation, you're going to swap sides there as well, making sure that you have a bolster or some blocks stacked in front of you so the pose isn't too deep. Hips are one of the most asymmetrical parts of the human body. So this hip may not want to be in the same exact place as your other one. Adjusting the distance of your chair accordingly. Maybe you want to tuck a little bit of extra cushion under your back. And once more, that priority on keeping the head and the jaw comfortable here. The jaw and the hips are so energetically connected. So can you roll your blanket a little bit under your neck? Can you curl your blanket around your head? Now, one important aspect of a metta meditation that we'll revisit from the other side is that it is very easy for most people to think of people they love and give that energy out. It can be much harder to turn that loving attention to yourself. That's one of the great ironies, I think, of life, is loving other people can come so easily, but turning those love and good wishes to you can be challenging, can feel strange. But in the spirit of the big sparkly bartender in the sky, Aquarius, I give the quote, "Drink as you pour." Drink as you pour. That expression comes from Ma Jaya Sati Bhagavati, one of my favorite yoga teachers. And that's giving to yourself as you give to others. You may have heard variations of it like fill your own cup first, or make sure you're filling your cup in addition to other people's. Drink as you pour. So we're going to go through that beautiful metta script once more. But this time, you're going to think about yourself and trying to give yourself every ounce of that love and compassion and good vibes that you gave to the people you had in mind last round. This is powerful work. Repeating mentally or out loud after me. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free of suffering. May my life be blessed with ease. Noticing how that feels to turn that loving attention, those powerful words on yourself. Where does that emotion of self-empowerment or self-care live in your body? If you had to label where you feel that emotion in your body, where is it? Being that explorer of your experience, grounding that emotion into the physical plane. There is the bell indicating that you can move to the next pose. I'm going to encourage you to take this next transition more slowly than you want to. Taking your legs off of the chair, couch, or bed, rolling onto one side. Laying there on your side to let your body acclimate, letting the blood flow from your legs kind of come back into the rest of the body before you start moving props around. When you're ready to start shuffling your props around, We're headed for Mountain Brook pose. Moving the chair off of the mat if you were using one. You're gonna, however you were supporting your head with your legs up is just fine. And then you're going to take your bath towel or blanket and fold it once or maybe twice, creating kind of a rectangle. This rectangle is going to go below your shoulder blades. So we want your head supported with a blanket, and then we want the second blanket under your shoulders so that there's just enough room for your arms to come out between your head blanket and your shoulder blanket. Now we want to support the knees in being bent. So I like to tuck a pillow under the knees. If you have an extra blanket and want to get extra luxurious, a small blanket roll under the ankles can feel really nice. Really checking in here with the height of that blanket under your shoulders. Would you prefer that just a little bit more flat as you're going to be enjoying this posture for some time? So we're not going for the most intense chest opener you can possibly muscle through. We want it to be a lot softer and more effortless. So perhaps you want your blanket only folded once. Another thing to consider here is I like to tuck my hands into my sleeves to keep my hands warm. Little things like the temperature of our hands or feet can really stop us from going into that soft, daydreamy, rest and digest state. So considering things like hand warmth, foot warmth and comfiness. Maybe if you want to lay something over your eyes so you are in darkness. Making those little adjustments so you can really fall into the total support of this pose. Feeling the breath as it flows through your body. Giving yourself permission to fully relax into the support of your props. The founder of this style of yoga calls this pose Mountain Brook pose. Imagining the breath flowing through your body like a stream. Imagining it rounding the corners of your body, kind of smoothing things out the way a river smooths out pebbles. If you would like to take this breath as a stream visualization a bit further with me, you can follow the sound of my voice. If you prefer things to get quieter now, you can of course click your volume down a couple notches You'll hear the bell when the pose is over. And of course, as you enter really restful state, it's normal if you fade in and out of what I'm saying. No need to pay rapt attention. Following what feels right for you. You are your own best teacher in this class and in all classes. If you want to join me on the mountain stream visualization, starting to feel the cold breath coming in and out through your nose. Visualizing that breath as cold snow coming whispering down in the mountains. Can you see a snowy mountain scene in your mind? Snow falling on evergreen trees, falling onto little bunny rabbits. And then the snow of that nose breath comes into the back of your throat where it warms and melts, making a little stream. Little stream cutting through the snow, babbling over rocks, gathering steam. Maybe there's even a waterfall down your throat to that area behind your shoulder blades where you're supported on that blanket. I want you to feel the breath pooling there in a pond or a lake. Breath growing warm in the backside of the lungs there. You feel the sunlight on the water. It's sparkling. Maybe there's some trees growing around your nourishing lake. The adventure of your breath does not stop there. River leaves the lake, following that breath coming down through your abdomen and your belly until it finds the ocean expanse of your pelvis. When you inhale, can you feel that energy from nose all the way through to that pelvic bowl of your hips? A wide, shimmering expanse of sea with its mysterious currents and waves. Exhaling water droplets to the sky, ready to go through that cycle of breath again, from the snow in the mountains to that lake where your blanket is resting, pouring through the belly, curves and twists and turns into the open ocean of your pelvis. What a marvelous and beautiful inner landscape you have. Spending some time with that visualization of the cycle of it all. A bit of a different transition here, as this brings us into Shavasana, our final relaxation pose. Now, they're all relaxation poses in restorative yoga. So, for this final one, I would like you to pick your favorite pose of class today. If you are loving Mountain Brook pose, you can stay right there. If you enjoyed having your feet up on the chair, or maybe you liked where we began with the belly down, either on the mat or on a child's pose on the bolster. Getting into your most luxurious and propped up Shavasana. Maybe tucking a blanket roll under the ankles or around the feet. Making sure the head is supremely supported in whatever pose you've chosen. I'm going to begin Shavasana by sharing one of my favorite old Irish Gaelic blessings, translated into English, don't worry. And then you will have some silence and repose. And then I will read that blessing once more to kind of let you know your time in your blissful Shavasana is almost done. And then when it's really time to get up, I'll ding that bell to make sure everyone is awake and with me, okay? Perfect. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Start to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing a little bit of movement back into the body. Let your next inhale carry you on to one side, curling up there. When you're ready, coming up to a comfortable seat to close our class. Thank you all so much for being here and for creating this quiet healing time for yourself tonight. I would like to seal my classes with a round of breath all together. It's really special to think that tonight we have people from the whole West Coast in class. All of us taking a round of breath together. Exhaling to get the air out of your lungs. And then all together we'll take a nice big inhale. And exhale. I'm so glad that you could be here. And if you have any questions, comments, feedback, want to tell me about the weird dreams you have after this, I'm totally into it. Respond to the email that had the Google Meet link or connect with me on Instagram. I know we all know each other there. I hope you have the best sleep ever and drink lots of water, okay?